Green Room Candor, episode wheat. Wheat?
Yes.
Wheat. Wheat?
Oui.
Wheat. And the topic is buyer intent. What are the 4 types of buyer intent? And what should you do with all of that information? I'll start with the 4 types of buyer intent.
Please educate us all on what the 4 types of buyer intent are.
On the 4 types of buyer intent.
Hold on, really quickly. Do you know what the 4 buyer intents are?
No.
You could guess some.
Yeah, I could guess some.
Let's see if you can guess them. Let's see if you can guess them. What's one type of buyer intent?
What type of buyer intent I would put, like requested a demo?
I didn't put that at the top because I just call that intent.
Okay.
But I'm talking more, you think that they're on their way to buy, but they haven't raised their hand
what
yet.
do you mean like by buyer intent? Do you mean like things that they're actually going to do and that you are aware of?
Markers that you can see that they might be buyer ready. They might be ready to buy.
Yeah, it depends. Like downloading a content, posting about they're on the market for a specific service, asking their peers in like Facebook communities or groups, searching like website like Captera, G2, etc. Like
we got 2 of them.
Reaching out.
So we've got one of them. One of them is they download some of your marketing content around a problem, so you know that they've got some type of buyer intent. The second type is that they are checking reviews on G2, Captera. What's the other one? Trust Radius, about products or your competitive products. The other 2 are you can do dark web, so like Bumble and 6 Sense, basically through cookie lists or through cookie trackers. They can tell that you're searching for them. They call this dark funnel research, which is mostly what people do. And then the 4th one is product-led growth, that they got a free trial or they got a freemium piece of your software. So
I don't know why, but that freaking acronym it really makes my skin crawl.
Which one?
Product-led growth.
Yeah.
It's
because the word product.
Oh,
it's because the word product.
Gross.
Well, most salespeople are product-led growth.
Yeah, that's true. Amen. But all right, keep going. No,
so those are the 4 types of intent. So we've got, they left a review, they downloaded your content, they got a free trial or freemium model, or they are searching you on the web and you notice it from like Bumble or 6 Sense, the dark funnel trackers. So the question is, the big question remains, what do you do with all that information?
Oh. Go, Larry.
I think that your exhaustion is mirrored to the SDRs, because they're like, oh.
What do you mean? Wait.
I
see what you mean. It took me a minute for that to sink in. Yeah.
What do I do?
What do I do with all this freaking information?
I guess, no, what I think it is I just don't know how you have so much brain in that little head, because it is like, I can't think at that level.
Yes,
right? No, I can't. What I do, this is why we're a good team. Well, you're good for me. I can't speak to me for you. When you threw all that out, all that category and label literally fries my brain. Mm-hmm. What I do instead is when I see a piece of intent, I'm trying to look for what the type of company is, what the frick did they just read, and I'm trying to infer what the problem could be. That's all I'm trying to do. Mm-hmm. And then what really is, this is where I enjoy listening to Guillaume Moubeche, because I think we think similarly. I then try to think, what are the 2, 3, 7 infinite number of creative ways can I get their attention? Mm-hmm. And I can't script that. There's no scripting creativity. You know what I'm saying? And so when I sit and start thinking, well, how do you respond to a buyer whose intent came through the website? The fact that it came to the website to me is immaterial. Mm-hmm. It's what through the website did they download? What type of company are they? And what can I infer about the problem they could be having? And then how could that problem affect that type of company, right? And that's going to be different than this type of company, and be different than that type of company. And that's all I know how to do. After that, I'm done. I have no more to add.
I think that's a great point, though, because everyone is craving more inbound at this point, because it converts so much faster. People have more buyer intent. You know, they have self-educated that they know that they have a problem, and so it's just easier. So I think the step up from that, because people are hungry for inbound, they're like, what's the step up from that where I can tell that there's some type of signal that they might have it? And to your point, one of the few things that I see people analyze is like, when someone downloaded this content, what problem were they trying to solve when they downloaded the content? You know, it's like they look at all content the same,
Yep.
and I'm like, it was to solve different problems. Now, to your exhale, SDRs get imploded with information. Let's just talk the review sites. They get a ping, and they can't do it down to the person. All they can say is, someone from Intel in Florida is researching you. And so the intent, no pun intended, is good of like, well, we want to give you a heads up, right? And why would you ignore it?
Because I don't know who it is, so it's useless to me.
Right.
That's really loose. It's, you know what it's like? It's like when you were in middle school, or maybe even all through high school, I don't know, and you go, hey, Becc, I know someone who likes you. Who? I don't know.
Wait, did you do that?
Right? Like, right? And you're like, well, who? I don't know. Well, how do you know? Well, I heard Jennifer tell. Then, like, I heard Jennifer tell Michael told Paul that someone likes you. Well, who is it? I don't know, but I heard they're pretty cool. Who? I don't know. Then shut the fuck up. That is zero use to me. Zero. So if you as a company have these little notifications sent to SDRs that someone was researching them, you're just making their life difficult. We get that from HubSpot. All these companies went to your website
Totally.
today. I'm like, well, I don't even send it to my reps. Ping. I have no time for that shit.
So one thing you can do to get it on its way, and then pass a G, is specifically for reviews and dark funnel. If you only know the company, I don't care about the geo unless I'm a company that like it creates a geo-based problem of like, I need a coat because I'm in Denver and it's freaking 2 degrees outside right now.
It's beautiful right
For
now.
instance, oh my gosh, I'm so cold.
It's 55
I
degrees.
feel like my
With the
bones
sun
are
out. It's
freezing.
beautiful, isn't it? Yeah.
So if geo doesn't matter, then I have built in automated systems that basically, let's say a sales growth company is researching, flip the script or whatever, that you could trigger everyone in your CRM from a sales growth company into a play automatically. And so you don't know if it's the person. I'm usually assumptive in the language. I'm like, pardon the interruption, but it looks like a couple people from your site were researching us. But more importantly, and then I transition on to personalization. So that's how I've monetized.
That's a good idea, Becc.
The review. Thank you.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Thank you.
That's good.
Like,
just don't tell me there were 27 emails to process. Just leave it where it was. It was a beautiful thing.
About 52 steps to get that live.
Yeah, that was good though. I like that approach.
All I had to do was force an integration through to G2 to a sales engagement vendor. No big deal. Talk to the partnerships team. Anywho, so let's talk about content. Damn you. Content downloads, marketing content, and I know y'all are a huge freemium.
Yeah, free trial.
Free trial. Sorry.
Yeah.
So how do you turn both of those types of buyer intent into business?
So there are like different things. I think like for free trial, what we've tried to automate it as much as possible is based on the action of the person trying to trigger specific contents. So we basically like activate them a little bit more. So let's say like someone is launching their campaign and they have like an open rate below 50%. We would start sending messages about like deliverability, which is the problem that they don't know.
Interesting.
Or if they have a bounce rate that is higher than 10%, we will block their campaign automatically
and
send them a message explaining that it's risky for them, etc., etc. And that's why we post the actual campaign. So I think we've been like very like not aggressive, I would say. Like we've been very preservative. Do we say that? Conservative.
Preservative is like jam or jelly.
Okay,
Close enough.
So
close enough.
Conservative in our approach, just because like I think like so far we were conservative because we wanted not to put too much constraints on people, but we realized that actually we have to go all the way in, I think, and be like even more harsh on how the product adapt to what people are doing. So for example, because the thing is like, in the end, if you really care about your user success, if you're seeing that, they are getting like below 1% of reply rate to their outbounds, they need to do things differently.
They need help.
But the reality is like for some company, below 1% is still like, okay. So then it's your role, like as a CEO to say, okay, like, are you happy with people being okay with your software, or do you want people who are getting like amazing results?
Yeah.
And this is where you have to draw the line. But personally, like what we will implement in 2023, it's going to be like the opposite. So it's like if people get shitty results to their outbound prospecting campaign, we'll just like automatically stop and push them to like our masterclass or all the things that are going to help them improve.
So interesting. So that's within free trial, the lens of free trial?
Yeah, it's like free trial, and also like when they become paid customers, we're going to act exactly the same way. And then on top of it, it's just like we're going to try to push also people through different funnels where we know that activation can be boosted. So we know that the community we have, for example, helps a lot in activation because they see other people getting success. It's exactly the same as like your success story, except that it's in real time. So people, whenever they see like real-time success stories, they're like, okay, I could do the same if I follow the same path, and then they're going to be curious about the path. So this is when we push the relevant content.
Interesting. So what about content downloads and webinar registrants? How are you handling that as a... So I know you have a ton of content downloads too. People tuning in. So how do you both turn that in?
For us, it's different sequence all the time, but it's really automated sequences. So we're going to put like automated sequences when people attended like a webinar, and the goal, our number one goal, is to drive people to the community, to be honest, because we know that when they are in the community,
they'll learn.
Yeah, they will learn things,
and then they'll come back.
Because we're not fighting against like we're fighting against people's laziness, to be honest.
Ooh, man, you better be lifting a lot of weights.
Yeah.
Woo, that's a lot of weights, because man, you need Herculean type strength to fight against people's laziness.
Yeah, so it's education. So it's like we know that sales is hard. We know that sales prospecting is hard, and you need to create content to teach people how to do like sales prospecting. So we have created the content. We know that it's working because, you know, like I keep receiving messages from people like going through the masterclass and saying like, I've tripled my reply rate. I've like doubled the amount of, you know, like leads that I'm getting each month, etc. So we know it's working, but the thing is like, we need to have people say, okay, I want to spend like this 5 or 6 hours learning and then applying my knowledge to like what I was doing so I can do it differently. And from there, we know that we will provide them like immense value. But the thing is like, how do you educate constantly people? And I don't think that can go through a sales rep who's going to be like half sales rep, half consultant. But I think like, I do feel, again, you know, it's exactly what we were discussing earlier with, you know, like how do people feel whenever they are like going through the sales funnel? From SDR to AE to, you know, it's like slaughterhouse, you know, like you know that you're going to die at the end.
The analogy you gave.
Yeah.
What's the analogy you gave in the handoff?
Like it feels like the prospect is a cow that's going to get killed at the end, you know. So like the qualification is basically like, okay, is the meat good enough? Like, and then you go to the AE, and the AE is like just bend your head and they're just going to shoot you in the head and close you.
Wow.
And then you're a pack of meat. But that's true, because like back in the days, to me, it's like we knew, like prospect had absolutely no idea about this SDR, BDR, and AE. So it was fine, you know, they felt like they were important because they could talk to many people. But now, with internet and all the accessible information, I just do feel like people are aware that whenever they get booked by SDR or BDR, it's in their title. They know that they're just going to get qualified, so they're not going to get any value out of it. Then when it comes to the AE, they know that the guy is going to girl, they're going to try to close them. And then, you know, like it's just that funnel that doesn't feel right. So what I feel with communities or relevant content is that step by step, you know, you can influence people's like action just by showcasing what others people have done. And it's basically like peer. It's the same like peer recommendation or this type of things.
What about you, Larry?
Oh, goodness gracious. I mean, buyer intent, when you talk about the 4 that you broke down, the dark web.
Did you like that list, by the way? Just out of curiosity, did you like the list, or
it was a good
nice
list.
And clean.
It was a good list.
Nice and clean list. What would we do without the list?
But we all know that information is powerful, or can be powerful, depending on what you do with it. And you said it before. What do I do with it? And for us as leaders to expect SDRs, BDRs to figure it the freak out, what am I supposed to do with someone who attended a webinar, someone who downloaded some content, someone who was poking around on our website, is immature, but there's an opportunity for us to provide guidance.
What were you going to say?
I don't know if I want to open this can of worms, but
I want you to.
Open it.
Open
and
sesame.
it's so off topic, so I'll be quick about it.
Well, it's Halloween. You're pretending to be me.
No, that means I'd still be talking. You guys wouldn't have had a word in
I know. But you're opening a can of worms and not sure if it's on topic. Let's go.
So what Larry said. So in the real world, Larry's right. You can't ask people to figure it the fuck out. But we should be able to. And maybe this is why, what did they say? Like Larry Bird was a terrible coach, Isaiah Thomas was a terrible coach. When I got into sales for the first time, I figured it the fuck out. Like they hired a guy next to me who had been selling for 3 or 4 years, and it's my first sales job ever, and they did it because he was supposed to be the safe bet. And so it was like, well, if Keenan doesn't work, we got this guy. 3 months later, that guy's gone. I'm the top rep. I figured it out. I was like, here's the goal. Oh, okay. Ooh, that didn't work. Don't do that again. Ooh, that worked really well. Double down on that. Ooh, let's do this. You can see the frustration. I do not understand in today's day and age, now I'm showing my age, why people can't figure out their fucking job. Where they literally need it written down for them, told what to do, how to do it, when to do it. I don't. If I have to tell you how to do your job and do it, then fuck it. I'll do it myself.
You're talking about perfect world.
I've got one question. One question for you.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Do you have do you have a tidy apartment or house? Do you consider yourself like pretty tidy, or is it like?
My house is under construction right now, so it's probably the wrong time to ask it.
In general.
But generally speaking, it's not tidy, but it's always clean. And what happens is I get to a point where I'm like, I can't handle this anymore, and it gets freaking perfecto.
Okay. And when you were like a teenager, would your mom tell you like to clean your?
Never.
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 Shit, you're the wrong target. Okay, I'm gonna get the example with Becc.
Okay.
Was your mom telling you like to clean your room?
I'm trying to think.
Oh my God!
Yes.
For my point, come on.
My mom just cleaned my room for me.
It's like in every single TV shows in the US, like the mom is telling the kid, okay, like you're out. So in every TV show in the US, people are telling.
Try Larry.
Parents are telling their kids to like clean their room, etc., and no one else is doing it. So to your point, when you're saying like we're teaching people, we're writing everything's done, we're telling people how to do it, and they still don't know how to do it. So maybe it's just not the right way. Because I can tell that
wait. Say that again. Not the right way.
It's not the right way to train people by just telling them what to do. Because in the end, when you just tell what to do to people, in general, people don't listen. I think it needs to be internal. And for that, instead of telling them what to do, I feel like what's more powerful is just like, of course, helping them to unlock some parts. But most of the time, instead of having something very fixed, straightforward, is to just like ask them question. How would you do it?
I think we're saying the same thing. So using your example, clean your room. I do that with my people all the time.
Yeah.
Now, to his point, I think we need to learn to hire people who can do it.
Yeah.
When my dad and mom said clean the room, they didn't tell me how to clean it. They didn't walk in and say, okay, fold your clothes this way, put the socks in this drawer and the underwear in this drawer, and put this here. That's what we're doing for sales reps now. Like literally, it's like we're writing the script, and I want you to make this many calls and do this, and so they're just sitting there. And helicopter parents, all of you fucked up so bad, and I will totally tell you how to parent because your kids are fucked up because you did it for them. Everything drives me insane. But anyways, right? So I go out and say, okay, here's the job. You got to sell $1 million. You got to do this much inbound, this outbound. But if you don't want to, that's fine. Here's what our pick looks like. This is what we sell. This is what the buyer looks like. This is what's important to them, right? Here's some ways to think about it, but have at it. Make mistakes, try again. Make mistakes, try again.
The key word there is think.
Think. We don't think. No one thinks. You can tell it frustrates me.
No.
Well, it comes down to hiring. We talked about this last week. It comes down to hiring, and it's hiring people that will figure it out. You're unique. You're unique. You're unique. The majority of people, they want it handed to them. Make me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Well, I don't know. Step 1, go to the cupboard. Step 2, now you got to walk them through it. And if not, they're just lost. Like, how in the world do I do this? I can't figure this out.
Fucking die.
Take a deep breath. Think about it. Think it through. What might you want to do? And that comes down to hiring. But I understand what you're saying as well. As leaders, it's our responsibility to meet them where they're at, to teach them and provide them a path if they're willing and open to stepping into that and learning. A lot of folks just wanted the easy way. They wanted the easy way.
I have a tidbit, not to throw a wrench in the whole thing.
Anywho.
But anywho, I guess. Wrench away.
the before wrenches.
I don't think all of this information is doable to figure out. I figured it out for myself from an automation perspective because I couldn't figure it out. Meaning,
but
you could hypothetically, but that's like saying, okay, I'm going to scour through all the things with the G2 and make sure that I know all the companies that just looked at reviews, and then I'm going to go through all the different content downloads yesterday and see which ones are in territory and which ones hit my ICP and what did they download, and then I'm going to go through, like, there's an opportunity cost to all of this. And these are just for plays. All the people who downloaded trials, all the people that are freemium users, and especially when you talk about more complex orgs with upwards of 100 SDRs, like if you don't systematize it, then the whole thing, I've seen some nightmare systems. So I think my perspective is you need to do both. I might be the only person that has this perspective, so feel free to pump me out. Just like y'all do on, well, we know. Anywho, but here's the thing. I'm like, I think that it's the leader's job to take that piece off of their rep's lap. Just the lead routing, the list cleaning.
Oh, yeah, I agree with that.
Like, and the gating of, and so the complexity as a leader, that was like the only place I thrived, to like just get them to the right house out of all this data and then rank it for them. And then it's like, okay, I'm going to get you to the right door with the right person who's in the right spot. I'm going to get you dressed there. And you go, I'm going to deliver you to the doorstep with the wine and the flowers or whatever. Now it's your job to go and walk in and not mess it up. but I think, like, well, it wasn't, here's the thing, it wasn't out of benevolence. I needed to push results. And I knew that if I didn't do that, then I was going to be, as a leader, missing out on all that KPI. So I took all the lead routing off of them. But like, to your point, I think if once you get them there to the door with all these types of intent, they walk in the door and then they're like, hey, can I tell you about my teddy bear collection? It's like, well, I can't help that. Like, I did what I can, but I think that that's the key piece behind buyer intent, at least from my view. That's a really boring view. Does anyone want to spice this up with a more interesting take before we close?
French have always more interesting takes.
Go for it, Keenan.
Go.
No, I said my piece.
Yeah.
Probably made a lot of people
figure it out.
And look,
FIFO.
FIFO.
FITFO. Figure it the freak out.
So even if you can't, look,
there's a
I would rather someone try to figure it out, come to me and say, hey, look, these things I did, it's not working. Do you have any suggestions? What I do wrong? Could you take a look at this?
Yeah.
But rather than wait or keep doing this, I've been doing this, and I'm like, okay, that's a shit show. How many responses do you get? None? How long have you been doing it? 6 months?
Why?
That can't be taught. Like, that can't be taught. Like, yeah, why am I so fired up? Like, I remember when I got my first sales job, the one where they hired someone else with me. It was selling chamber memberships here in Denver, right? I didn't even know what the fuck a chamber was. So I was like, well, what's a chamber? So I asked all these questions. Why do people even care? What do they get for it? And it was probably terrible selling, but I could understand the value of it. Once I understood the value, I was like, okay, I can do something with this. I would be driving home. So basically, you had to sell members. Basically, any business in Denver could have benefited from the chamber. Yep. Okay, and they provided back in the day before the like leads groups or exposure or happy hours or anything where you could meet people, promote your business, blah blah. And it was only like $325 all the way up to 10 grand, but that was for the big companies. So if you're a small business, you could afford $1,000 a year or $500 a year, right? Even in '97. So I would literally be driving home in my car, and I'd see a van go by or a catering company, and I'd write it down. Nope. I'd write it down. And I go back
and teach that.
And backstage, I'd start calling that shit, right? This is why I get frustrated with people and people like, Keenan, you're kind of hard on people. I am, because it just seems like logical sense to me. My job is to find companies in Denver that could benefit from this. Hey, look, a truck right next to me. Phone number. All right, I'll call them tomorrow.
Those expectations.
I think. Sorry, Larry. Go ahead.
No, those expectations from high performers, it's different. So my baseball coach was the opening day starter for the San Francisco Giants.
Yeah, you tell me this.
Our pitching staff was the worst in the ACC every year because he could do it himself, like you.
Can't teach it.
But teaching it is a whole different muscle. It's a different muscle to be able to teach others, and those expectations that you have are so high. Sometimes, and I hate to say this, I wouldn't say lower your expectations, but sometimes you've got to meet people and understand that they're not you. They're not an A+ player.
Okay.
They're a B- player.
Okay, so let's break this down. We're way off topic, so I hope you can use this.
We can.
Okay,
we can.
Let's break this down. I agree with you when it comes to him being a pitcher, okay? Because you could teach me all day long to throw a curveball. I'm never going to be able to make that thing break like he did, ever. There's a certain amount of natural talent.
Keep going,
natural talent to this, right? But in my opinion, being able to think simply like, hey, my job is to find companies, and there's a truck right next to me with a phone number on it.
You said the key word again, think.
Thinking is not so if you're telling me this, that thinking at that level is the same skill, this is going to be really fucked up. But if you're telling me that thinking at that level, which I think is very baseline level, not thinking like Becc, these are 27 steps to, brushing your teeth to hit every molar. That I agree with you. That's a whole other level.
There's only 4.
But thinking simply like, oh, there's a truck with a name, I should call them. If you're telling me that is similar to learning how to throw a baseball on opening day, then, and if you're right, which I'd be open to.
It shouldn't be, but in the reality.
Okay, then if it is, we have a serious problem. Serious problem.
Houston, we have a problem.
I can't get my arms. I just can't get my arms around.
I want to ding in. We only have like 4 minutes, and we have to close this out. But I don't think, to your credit, I don't think it's an acumen thing usually. And I'll give you an example. I have a guy who waters my plants. I gave him a calendar in front of each one of my 23 plants when I went to Paris. Of what day you should mist and what day you should water.
13 angles.
And then I come home, and there were 2 types of plants I had left in my place. Plants that were dead and plants that were on their way there. And so I call him, and I'm like, hey, so what the... Brendan, why did you do this to me? And he's like, well, here's the thing. I couldn't figure out how to mist. And I'm like, that's fine if you couldn't figure it out.
Call and ask.
Research on the internet.
Google.
Do something.
Yeah,
the goal is that the plants aren't dead.
Thank you. Yes.
That they cost me thousands of dollars for these plants, and that I actually talk to. They're like my best friends. And I'm like, okay.
That tells me so.
So I'm like, figure it out. Like, if you can't figure it, and that to me is not acumen. That's a mindset shift of like, I'm going to figure this out, or I'm not, and I'm just going to be like marketing. You're fighting with marketing.
Yeah.
And question for you, did you tell him that his task was to water your plants or to not let your plants die?
Well, either way, one would think that you look at the plant and
I know, but for me it's different. If someone's mission is for the plant not to die, or if someone's mission is to water the plant, it's 2 different things. So if you tell someone water the plant, if they put water on it, they're gonna feel like they're doing their job.
They did it.
If you tell them that the plant should never die, if they start saying it's different.
This goes back to Larry's point. Oh, sorry, I interrupted you.
No, it's fine.
This goes back to Larry's point, right? And this is what I'm saying is, if we're in a place where you don't understand that the purpose of watering the plant is to keep it alive, you can take that to a dog. So wait, I fed the dog. The dog's dead. The dog was 30 pounds, and he's about to die because of malnutrition. Walk me through how you felt you were doing your job if my dog's dead. And that inability, either be laziness or lack of acumen.
It's accountability.
Or accountability. So those are the 3. I'm going to pull it back. There are 3 reasons.
My plants are dead.
Right? They're connected to the outcome. 1 is they don't have the acumen. 2 is they don't give a shit enough. Or 3,
okay, accountability.
Lack accountability.
So I think, to your point, there are 2 questions. Keep the plants alive, and then just follow the instructions and water them. But he said, oh, well, I didn't know how to follow the instructions, which I detailed it out. So to your point, even when you over-enable people, meaning,
they still fucking
so I'm talking calendar with mist and water for 23 plants.
Step 1.
And when you over-enable, that's when you find out who you can actually work with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Of who, because that is just negligence at that point. I came home and I was pissed. Right, so it's there's a certain amount that you can enable. And then after that point, you have to hold them extremely accountable. And if they want to do it but just can't get it, it's like you just gotta
it's like marketing.
You just gotta let go.
But when we put out all the posts.
It's like, did you drive more business, Brendan?
Yes. Okay. That was probably the best one yet.
Green Room Candor, Denver. We're in Keenan's hometown.
Yeah.
This was
my hometown's Boston. So both of
Denver for life. And this is episode 9. Episode 9 of Green Room Candor.
Oui.
To the room.